All right. Today it's part 4 of Tennis Strategy 201, and we're going to get into pressuring movement. It's a little cool here in NorCal, so hope you enjoy my beanie today. I'm going to be going out teaching here in a little bit. It's going to be a little cool, but hey, you know, they say, here's an interesting little fun fact, that when you go out and you're exposed to temperatures in the 50-degree range, that is max, that's the best for your happiness. I don't get it. Like to take a bath, so they'll take a really cold bath for like 2 full minutes. It's supposed to really energize you. I think I might try that someday. Anyway, on to our topic. I'm Bill Patton, and this is Tennis Strategy 201. Now, movement can be a weapon, that is, if you're the better mover, right? Hitting angles can be a weapon if you're the better angle maker on the day. So, um, I think one of the best all-time players is Andre Agassi. So, I mean, obviously we could talk about Djokovic, but I want to talk about Agassi because he gained his nickname, the Punisher, when he started playing this game where he was just running people all over the court and capitalizing on his ability not only to move well but to hit regularly powerful shots on both sides that went in. So just kept people under tremendous pressure. So much though that one thing I started to see a lot is that Agassi would serve to the outside. So he would serve to the corners of the service box to get the running started. And then his opponents would serve to the tee to try to stop the running from happening. And, Serena Williams, Venus Williams, both great movers and angle makers. And so what did people do against them? They try to keep the ball centered as much as possible to make that angle making more difficult. So, you need one or both things to be superior in your game on the day. And I always say on the day because let's say moving your opponent is your A game, but you're playing somebody who does it better than you. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Is it going to be charge of the light brigade today, or are you just going to run straight into the saw blade? I don't think so. I think what you have to do is you have to shift away and play one of the other strategies. But presuming that you are marginally or significantly better at moving and or making angles. So let's say maybe you're significantly better at moving, but they're just slightly better at making angles. Okay, you can win that as long as you're on the plus side of that. And if you're just slightly better at running and you're slightly better at making angles, that's still a big advantage. So the plays in this style are actually very simple because there's not a big catalog of tactics that come into play. And so I already mentioned the first part of it. You probably want 80% of your serves to be going towards the corner of the court, right? And corner of the service box, because that gets the player maximally, out away. And then the funny thing is I now have 4 targets on the court. So it's the tee, it's the body, it's wide. No, it's corner, and then it's wide. So a little bit shorter angle serve, maybe with a little more slice to get that angle, and then maybe in the ad court going with a top spin serve, a kick serve, and hitting that wide serve. So those are 2 different things that you can capitalize on, and that gives you 2 different targets that you can use in order to make that player move for the first ball and then open up the court for that deep cross court shot to the other side. Now, this is where the contingencies come in. So let's say, you have to have different contingencies for what comes back. So you serve wide and you're looking for them to be, successful. You have to plan for they made their best possible shot. So your next safest, best shot is that deep cross court to the opposite side. But if they flip in a duck, if their ball is a dying quail right into the center of the court, then you might come forward and hit a sharp angle short to the other side, and then really good chance you're going to get a winner there, or at the very least force an error. So then another little sneaky way that you can make people move is, so 80, maybe 75, 80% of your serves are going to go out wide. Well, if you serve at their body, 1 out of 10 times, then they have to move out of the way. And then whichever way they move out of the way, then you can kind of read that and see whether you're going to go to this corner or that corner. It all kind of depends on how do they balance up after that. So, and you might even want to have a variety. So if you go body and they go inside out forehand, then you can turn them around and make them move to the other side to hit a backhand. That's good. So if they're sort of jammed, then you might want to go back to their forehand again, because they might have trouble extending out to that. It all depends. I don't have a finite answer on that. All right. Now, if you're playing, then obviously if you go into the other box, right, then that doesn't matter. Now, next thing. So if you serve down to the tee and you elicit, and I'm always pretty much referring to playing against a right-hander, but if you go to the tee and you get the backhand return from them, then you can turn them around to a forehand on the next ball, and that makes a tight turn, and that is a good way to challenge movement. Now, one thing that I've learned from Sterling Strother that I really like, and you should check out his book, 7 Strategies to Enter Your Play State, 7 on-court strategies to enter your play state. He talks about caging the player. So, when you're playing the ball and you play it at them, and then they're not moving, they kind of sink into the ground to make that shot, and they're sort of anchored there. Well, it's hard for them to then move out of that position. So getting them stopped for a shot is a really key, subtle difference towards then being able to make them move to the outside. So I think that's a really good strategy, one that people don't really think about. Now, what you're going to find is that probably if you're good at this and the other player's smart, they're going to start centering the ball on you. So now how do you play from the center of the court, right? So if they're smart, you're going to serve out wide. They're going to return down the middle right at you. And so what you need to do is have figured out whether you're going to go inside out or inside in. What's your bread and butter for starting that point off right? Because you are going to have to play somewhat conservatively, and you don't want to go down the line too early and give up opportunities for them to change the direction of the ball. So this is where the directionals come into play. So, but one thing's really interesting is from the center of the court, if you're hitting a forehand from the center of the court, hitting to either corner is technically a cross-court shot. So you have good length in both corners to hit to. Now, you've got the choices are, let's say you've served to the ad court, so the other player's in the ad court. So that might predicate that you're going to go to the forehand corner, right? And if you serve to the deuce court and they're out wide for a forehand, then it might predicate that you're going to go to the backhand corner. It kind of depends and it depends on how quickly they recover, all that stuff, but then, one of sort of the general rules is that you would want to play your forehand to their backhand as much as possible from the center of the court, then you're going to get some weaker shots. Then you're going to be able to move them around again. So it doesn't mean that you have to keep them constantly on a string going side to side. There can be some times that you're going back to the same place, which brings up another thing where you can wrong foot your opponent. So let's say you're playing someone who's, quicker than you or as quick as you, and you want to slow them down, right? Then you can hit to one place, and as they're recovering, then you hit back to the same place and make them recover back and wrong foot them. That's one way you can slow them down, right? And then that way, so don't be predictable about moving them side to side. And then also be careful, again, when you're moving them side to side, don't give them a ball that they can easily change the direction on and get you moving, because that will be a disadvantage to you. So, then, the same sorts of things apply. Now, if you want more forehands, then you need to be returning to their forehand. If you want more backhands, then you need to be returning to their backhand. So if we flip it around on the return game, basically, if you want to start the running game, then you have to work on your return timing. This, as we shared in Tennis Strategy 101, the safest return is for you to hit the ball back the direction that it came. So that means centering the ball. So centering is the safest, but if you're going to be somebody who's moving them around and you want to do it from the first shot, then you need to practice your returns of serve to the point where you are able to time the ball well and get a deep cross-court shot on your return, right? Or maybe even a little shorter angle return, especially on a second serve return. So, you have to practice these things in order to be able to execute that strategy. Because if you think you're trying to move the other player around, but all you do is return the ball straight up the middle at them, then you're giving them sort of that first crack at getting you moving, right? Or playing their strategy. So, think about it from the outset of the point to establish your strategy. Your tactics need to support your strategy. And if they don't, then you're not really playing that strategy as well as you could be. So, to summarize, one, if you're going to play a movement game, be a good mover, work on your ability to make angles. That will require you to time the ball well. All right. Number two, if the other player is better at these things than you, then you really do need a B game that you can go to and take that away from them. Maybe you'll be the one who centers them, and on the day. I mean, it's sometimes you have to play a strategy that's not your favorite if you're going to win. And the third principle there being that the tactics are not particularly complicated. There are probably 3 really good moves that you need, or 3 really good plays where you're going to the corner or wide, right? And then going deep cross court to the other side most of the time. A contingency on that, kind of a 1B, if you will, would be you get the short ball, you go short angle to the other side, maybe for a winner. Number 2, you go at them to freeze them, and then you read their balance, and then you go away from their balance. So if they balance and they're sort of teetering that way, then you're going to go that way. And then, because it's going to be hard for them to get going the other way. And then finally, the wrong footing of them. So you're going to go, if you go to the tee, then you're going to go to the off the same corner of that side, meaning the same half of the court to turn them around. And when you're rallying, when you see them recovering hard, then go back the same direction you came to make them turn around and go get that ball. And that slows them down. It makes them have to stop and read and react. And that's, when you can start to slow down their thinking, because they have to think and read more, then you gain more time to be able to pressure their movement more. So that's all I have for you today. Remember to practice gratitude and use your social digital currency. So press like and subscribe and share with a friend, and go to brainsports.coach and subscribe to my blog, which I'm going to be doing another blog post later this afternoon. And I have a pre-order date for the book, and it's going to be the 26th here. So the tennis strategy 101 will be available for pre-order, and it will go live on March 26th. In fact, sometime on the day of the 22nd, you can start pre-ordering. So, and I'm going to offer that as an ebook for 99 cents so that you can get that quick. The print book might take another week or two, because that's a little bit longer process to get that proofed out and make sure that it's looking right before it goes on for sale. But if you want to do me a favor, get one of those 99-cent ebooks, and then you can read through that and review it. All of those are very much appreciated. So thanks for watching, and tomorrow we're going to talk about the disruptive style of play, and that's going to be a fun one, because that's one I like to play sometimes. And you kind of have to be a little bit impish to want to play that. You have to enjoy being a little bit annoying on the court and having people not admire your game. So anyway, thanks for watching again, and we'll see you in the next one. So, final thought. I am available for one-on-one coaching if you want to get on a call and help, and I can identify with you what are your game strategies. Let's get on a call. All right. Have a good one.